Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, yo.
Hello and welcome to another episode of GymnasticsVille. I'm your host, Midknight Robin, and we're here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, the town where greatness in sports is happened and is happening, and it's exciting to be here with a great show in store for everyone today with assistant coach for the Oklahoma men's gymnastics team, and Taqiy Abdullah-Simmons. How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing great. So we're going to get to American Cup here in a little bit, but first thing that crosses my mind is 86 straight. Is that where the current team right now for the University of Oklahoma is at? 86 straight wins. I know, last few weeks we've been, we interviewed some guys on the team, and then leading up to this year, and I know you guys probably don't think about it, but still, 86 straight. You just had a over 20-point win against Navy. What is it that the guys, Mark Williams, Steve Azandra, and you guys in the coaching staff, what is it that's going on right now in that gym that's 86 straight?
Well, the guys, everyone puts in the work. I'd say that's really the primary thing that is going on at OU. The guys are willing to do what's asked of them. We ask a lot of them, and they're willing to be strong enough right now to do the work that's being asked. So the guys are starting to really get to that position in the season to where the numbers have added up to allowing them to be confident, consistent in what they're doing. So, it's just another step in the long season of NCAA gymnastics. So still a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's fun to be here. It's fun to see the guys enjoy the process and know that the hard work is always worth it, and it's paying off obviously right now, so it's good.
All right, so did you guys know that you were three wins away, 2 wins away from tying legendary John Wooden and the UCLA? And I know you're an avid basketball fan, so when you look at some of these streaks that are going on in NCAA, John Wooden's 88. What do you think this is comparable, maybe to like in another sport, what you guys are doing now? I mean, is it comparable? I mean, this is the longest winning streak in gymnastics history. What is it about Mark? And you've been an athlete of his. Now you are on his staff as assistant coach. What makes Mark so great, or his system?
Well, it's all about doing the plan. If you do the plan, you'll be successful. It'll put you in opportunities to hit routines, and that's what matters the most in any sport, is to be able to do what's asked of you on the field of play and be consistent at doing it. So with that understanding, it just allows you to be successful. So, and that is, I think, his greatest gift is the program, and knowing that everyone needs to buy in for it to be successful, and having that be accomplished. And with the streak and whatnot, it's definitely something that is never talked about. We have the thing where we all say we don't come to Oklahoma to win a regular season meet. We come here to put ourselves in situations to win conference and national championships. So, it's always about building through the season. So generally there's no competition that is more important than the process and making sure you're ready to be successful on that day as well, because there's no such thing as throwaway competitions, throwaway events, throwaway routines. We can try to do something new, but the anticipation is to go out there and still perform it well enough without having big deductions. So, that's what it's about. We don't talk about the streak in the gym, and that's how it should be. But it's something that when you look back on it, I'm assuming it'll be like, wow, that was pretty special. And even during it, it's just like, hey man, it's a good run, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, John Wooden, 88.
Yeah. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kareem, if anybody don't know about Kareem, look him up. He has the most points in NBA history, and he actually won some rings as NCAA athlete. And I think LeBron's going to be pushing the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's numbers. I'm not sure if LeBron's going to have
points.
that in points.
Yeah,
we'll see.
close.
I feel like LeBron has that in the back of his mind, even though he hasn't publicly said it out loud. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But back to gymnastics. I want to talk a little bit about the direction you feel the scoring is heading, because this is something we always talk about, and it's great to have someone that's so involved in gymnastics. But I'm going to bring up Steve genre for a little bit, because what he did on the floor when he was his days at Oklahoma, and I think Steve was on the team when you were a freshman, right?
He was a freshman, I was a senior.
Okay, so, and first of all, we all know Steve was amazing tumbler. Do you feel, because of the rule changes of the sport, and now that they're being more critical, do you think any of his records will ever be touched on the floor? I mean, I think he has the all-time high with over 16 scores, and it looks like these gymnasts are barely scoring 15s now. What are your thoughts on that?
There's no way that record's being touched. Gymnastics has worked in a direction that just doesn't seem like they want to give out big scores. They want to be extremely critical of what you're doing, and it's very demanding on the criteria in which they think a skill can be performed perfectly. So, and that's truly like the direction that it's going, and it is in. It's just it's almost impossible to do skills without deduction.
And that's crazy, because I've seen some pretty flawless gymnastics. It's almost like, I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's the old school thought where it's like, yo, this is obviously these old time gymnasts, we gotta pay homage and give respects to how they were scoring, and then after that, because in theory more generations are doing it, we have to judge it more critically. I don't know.
To be honest, I have no idea. I don't know. I wish I knew why they wanted things to be or have gotten so critical. But, the things that would never even be considered deductions, like maybe 8 to 12 years ago, during when I was doing gymnastics, and a little bit probably before that, just like they didn't even deduct those things. It's like the angle deduction on high bar. That's something that came about probably 10 years ago, and is the primary reason on why guys score so low on high bar. angles on just, passing through handstand isn't used to be the thing at some point in gymnastics where it's like, yeah, you want to hit handstand, but if you pass through it and at least show it, you won't get like hacked to death for it. And that's the thing now. It's like, it's tough to watch a sport that I'm like, man, that was like a pretty good looking routine. It's like aesthetically, gymnastics, it's like an aesthetic sport that is still
looks good.
It still looks good, even if you don't hit things as so uniform and rigid. And I'm not saying gymnastics is rigid, but for most people, it is lost what you call that feel of flow, because they want you to be so exact and everything has to look the same. So,
but people can't look the same, right? Because aren't there
there's
gymnasts with different bodies and shapes
different
and
body types, so it's harder to put yourselves in certain positions in gymnastics. But that's what they're requiring, and that's fine. But I just don't see the end game on something like this if they make it harder and harder to keep moving the finish line. I just think it's really hard for a fan to follow the sport if they consider something to be really good one year, the next year you see the same thing and they're scoring lower. It's
it makes it come off like you're like their worst gymnasts when they could be.
And I get that it's okay to keep moving the bar back in a certain fashion, but you still have to allow the same type of ability to score well, I would assume. Because it's like I watched the Olympics snowboard.
Shaun White.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously that sport has gotten harder.
Yeah.
Since the very inception, but they were scoring 90s back then. They're scoring 90s today.
Yep.
So it's like,
and 100 is their highest.
And 100 is their highest.
Like what's
and I'm not, and I could care. I'm a person of the thing of the 10 that it's like, okay, you could do it, not do it, but the end of the day, how about you just allow people to not be scoring worse for harder gymnastics? Like, it's getting harder and people are scoring lower. That's really? Like, it's like you're making them do harder stuff and you're being more critical of the hard stuff that they're doing. It's very tough to see people hit routines in gymnastics and score 7s in execution.
Yeah, I mean,
it's tough to watch.
It's tough to watch, but
again,
what do you think that does to the psyche of the gymnast? The psyche of a gymnast that knows they're doing the same, if not harder, gymnastics than their other generation, but not scoring as well, when they can clearly see that.
No, it does nothing to the psyche.
Gotcha.
I can see it. It takes a little bit for a gymnast to process it, but because this has been the direction that all these guys have grown up in,
that's what it is.
That's just what it seems like they understand.
Yeah.
But again, that's the the thing is, so many judges can decide how almost don't know how they need to judge until after almost the first day of a competition, because you just don't know. I feel like sometimes they don't know where they need to be in the range of how everyone else is evaluating gymnastics, because they made it so hard, and it's like, am I really going to be that strict? And it's like, oh, everyone else kind of is, so I guess, yeah, I'll be that strict. I guess I'll see those deductions that seem like they were almost not really there that much, and then it's like, they can lay the hammer down the next day because everyone needs to be in the same range. So it's one of those things where it just depends on the day, on what an individual competition and how well they can score on that day. Sometimes especially right now in college, like it's they want everyone to be tougher, but like the world, but it's hard to it's just hard different judging panels on that day.
Yep.
But either way, it's a very tough time when it comes to watching the evaluation of gymnastics sometimes.
Yeah. So I want to move on from that a little bit. So we did a poll on GymnasticsVille, and it's been an ongoing conversation here. I know it's pretty ridiculous. Actually, a lot of people probably don't even like that I even do this poll
No.
because it's like it
They
just
don't.
doesn't. It's like they can't compute it because
No, they
I get
can't.
it. You know, my mind goes to a lot of different worlds and galaxies all the time throughout the day. So, in my world, it just seems like it's a natural evolution of the sport. But the poll was, should men's gymnastics have music on floor to rock out while busting mat flips, like doing the routine? You know what I mean? That's, you know, and here's the thing, GymnasticsVille. Well, I had to word it differently because wording it just simple as music during floor routine usually didn't get score very well on our poll, so I had to switch it up a little bit to let people know.
Baiting to some questions.
Well,
right?
you know, it's about the feel of it, and the thing is, it was 42% said yes, 58% said no. And here's the thing:
That's getting higher.
it's getting higher because before it was like we were like in the teens. So, and here's the thing: unless we see someone do it, which, you know, when I went to Ohio State, I definitely spoke to Paris. Yo, I'm throwing you a shout out, Paris, because listen,
People do it.
people need to
The
see it.
NEIGC, man. The guys can compete on girls' events and girls compete on guys' events. So I've seen guys do floor routines to music.
Yeah. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, you obviously, if people don't know, you have an entertainment background. You know, you worked at Disney, and you also worked at Cirque du Soleil, and obviously those performances are to music. So, what
do I think? I think that it would take it would be hard to watch it if you see it with the gymnasts nowadays. Like, you could get it going, and I would assume you could get maybe 10% to seem like they excelled in it. Be like, all right, you know, that didn't look so awkward.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying that. I could obviously do without. I'm a gymnast purist, I would say, but I'm also, like I said, I was also did entertainment, and I know the entertainment value of being able to move and music. It's not, you know, I think sometimes people think that it'll be viewed as being a little bit more feminine, but I'm like, that. What do you mean? There's so many male dancers and so many realms that do all dance, and it's not. And
I mean, look
it's
at
just,
Usher and Justin Bieber, and
yeah, well,
I know I mentioned them, but just
exactly. But I think because of the association with women's gymnastics, people would assume it would go in that direction, so they have this negative viewpoint on it. But I don't think it would be like that. But I also think you couldn't just ask of the gymnasts automatically. It's something that you would have to do at the ground level first, so it's brought up with a certain generation, so they're not awkward and bad at it, or like horrible at it. Like, obviously, no matter what, you'll get awkwardness and some people that aren't good at it. But I think to like ask like gymnasts that are like 12 or 13 right now to be like, all right, I want you to try to figure out how to move. I've seen some of these gymnasts dance, or a lot of gymnasts dance during my years, and they are not good dancers.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's gonna. But here's the thing: I think people would watch it. I think people would watch it even more because how awkward it may be. And
people turn off awkwardness. People have a hard time. People turn off awkwardness.
I don't know. People watch awkwardness, like when
they
you crash
do.
and you fall.
Yeah,
and
that's not
like,
awkward. That people laugh at people's pain more than people watch people's awkwardness.
All right, but here's my thinking though. It doesn't necessarily have to be them dancing to it. Like it you know, at the beginning, I feel like it's going to evolve, and all I say by that is that if you ever watch kata or open forms for martial arts, you know, when they're doing their, you know, karate martial arts routine, there's music in the background. They're not dancing to it. You know, it's just in the background. I mean, some of the moves are together with the music, but most of it is just in the background. That's their sense of motivation. You get a sense for, like, in the mind of what this martial artist is thinking, you know, with the music that they choose. So it's not necessarily dancing to it. They can just have it in the background to start.
Like I said, you know, at our meets, the guys get a chance to pick their songs that they have for when they compete.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, you know, before the first home meet, they all, you know, get together songs that they'd like to have on when they're up on the equipment. Obviously, it all has to be good music. They're in college, so some of their music can be
out there.
But, but it's always, you know, something that's that gets them in either their place where they feel like they can attack or do whatever, but just something that it also just helps generally with the whole vibe of the competition, because the music options are at least current, or something worth listening to sometimes. But I understand. I just think at this point with gymnastics, there just has to be a lot of different options out there for people, and if doing music is something that people care to do in some little nick and cranny, then let it go with that and let it grow. I'm okay with change as long as that these scores don't keep dropping.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. American Cup. American Cup is this weekend. Moldauer, Allan Bauer, Mark, and you guys are going out there to somewhere in Chi-Town. I asked Carrie this question the other day, and I'd like to ask you the question. Is it harder to make an American Cup team than it is an Olympic team?
Yeah, you touched on this last night.
I know, it's kind of one of those weird questions.
It's one of those weird questions. It's like, you're, as a high-level gymnast, you are less likely to make it to an American Cup than the Olympics. But which is harder to do? It's still like it's weird. You stump me when you ask this question, because of how my mind goes and how logical I think.
Yeah.
The bigger accomplishment is obviously the Olympics.
Correct. I would agree. Hands down.
Hands down. People are like, would you rather go to American Cup or Olympic? Like, really? Seriously? But it's a great meet, but it's the Olympics. You know what I mean? But it's probably harder. Like I said, you can probably list all the people that competed in the American Cup, and it's way less. And it's still, even though it's every year, it's probably still less in the sense of
sometimes you repeat people.
So when you think about it in a logical numbers game, then it's obviously harder to make it to an American Cup.
Because you have to generally be, at that time, the best gymnast in the country.
The top two. Because America, since at least top 2, top 3 in that realm. And more until this last Olympics, this current one, at least 5 to 7 people have gone in every Olympics. So there's more people going to the Olympics in that quad
than there
are people that go to the American Cup, especially when you have repeat winners and how successful America has been at producing winners at the American Cup. So,
right?
Yeah, harder. American Cup, obviously the greater accomplishment is still the Olympics.
All right, so there's 9 competitors from all around the world. Brazil, Spain, Canada, Great Britain, China, Japan. Going into this meet, we all know Moldauer won last year, but do you think he's the favorite this year going into the American Cup, with Kenzo being on the roster to compete? The Kenzo, the Olympic gold medalist, 5-time world champion on floor. I mean, do you think Yule is the favorite to win this meet? What do you think?
That you're asking stuff that doesn't matter to a coach. That coach, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
you're asking, like, no, I'm giving an honest answer.
Yeah.
Like, you're asking if he's a favorite. I'm like, well, Kenzo beat him at Worlds. Kenzo has a longer international track record. So if you're trying to get me to say who, and obviously he's coming to America, but who has more accolades and who has beat the person at the last competition? It was Kenzo. So sure, you can call him a favorite, whatever, but it's just one of those things where, I'm in the gym with you. We don't talk about our competition. Gymnastics is one of the very few sports where it's like we don't have to game plan necessarily when it comes to this is how, when you go up against this person, this is how it's going to be. It's like, no, anyone you compete against on that day is your competitor, so therefore you have to be the best on that day. But so it's one of those things where we don't have to talk about our competition, because the same approach in all competitions is the same approach. You're not doing anything different just because you're competing against Kenzo or you're competing against a different person. You have to be mentally strong enough to handle the moment of when it has more pressure, but a competitor's competitor. You're always out there to compete your best, to show your best on that day, to be able to win on that day. So that's the approach. So there's no such thing as like him going up against someone that's like really, really good, because he's good enough to intimidate anyone on any day.
Yeah, I mean, and to that note, do you think he's the best tumbler ever? Like, when you look at it from what he accomplished, and from what his routine is currently, I mean, he mounted. I was looking at. I had to go back and look at some of his footage. He mounted with a laid out triple double, so 2 flips in the laid out position with 3 flips, and then his next pass was the same.
3 flips.
I'm sorry, 2 flips, 3 twists in the laid out position, and then on his very next pass, he did the same tumbling pass, but just in tucked form. Both of those passes are just redunculous.
Whoa. Yeah, he's really. Gymnastics is very easy to say who's the greatest, because, and it just, at least nowadays, they do such hard gymnastics, and if we're looking at a sport that likes to say that the best person is the person that does the hardest stuff and is able to hit it, it's pretty easy to be like, well, yeah, easily. He does the hardest floor routine that's ever been done. Yeah. And he's won by a lot. He's obviously the best of this generation. Are there people that are like more explosive and can do the same level of gymnastics, but at the end of the day, he's the one doing it and hit it. There's a guy from Australia who, Chris, I can't remember, his last name is Remix or something like that. I can't pronounce it. But I saw his routine he did in Germany, and it was probably only like 2-3 tenths less than Kenzo.
So Kenzo is making others raise the bar.
Yeah, and he's the guy's able to do the gymnastics, but he's able to hit it like Kenzo. Kenzo does a quad in his routine like it's a double, triple full to most people. Yeah, and that's after having the hardest routine out there. So, he's one of those gymnasts that you just have to look at and marvel at on that event. And you can't hate on that at all. Yeah, you just have to be like, hey,
that's greatness.
Thank you for allowing us to watch you do what you do. So can and he comes with it a lot. I rarely see that guy miss a floor routine.
Wow. And we're gonna end on that note, GymnasticsVille. That was a great session of gymnastics talk. Hands down, in my opinion, the hardest sport in the world. I mean, right? Doc, what do you think?
It's always up for debate. I love it. I think it's one of the. I always go into it about this. You look at its highest level, and you ask someone that comes off the street or has maybe a little bit of training in sport, are you able to accomplish what people are doing at the hardest level? And I always say, gymnastics is not. It's an acquired sport. You have to be in it for years to be able to do what people are doing at the highest level. Yeah. And I look at the other sports. You can go through the motions of what they do. You can go through the motions of what the professionals do. You cannot go through the motions of what a gymnast does.
What on the highest level?
On the highest level.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's why it's also a sport that a lot of people don't gravitate towards. You can't just pick up and do like a double off a high bar or even a giant.
No.
You can pick up a basketball and feel like you're balling out like Steph Curry. You can say Curry, telling yourself you're Steph Curry shooting from half court and
That's
making
true.
once in a, you know what I mean?
But on the flip side of it, though, I mean, on the basic levels, you can feel the thrills of that elite gymnast because you know you look at it as it's like a Richter scale or you know a curve.
Yes.
A cartwheel to someone that doesn't know how to do anything can feel the same as someone doing a tuck double for the first time.
Sure.
Or that first backflip.
Sure.
Is the same that
yeah,
first
flipping is flipping. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
A little
you
bit.
Do, you can. No, that's a way of looking at it for sure. But I still think it's top 3 toughest sports, hardest sports. I always have a hard time figuring out what that is, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's one of those things that can always be debated. And will you ever have a downright 100% answer? No.
No.
So whatever.
But it's close.
It's close, and everyone knows it. So
Yeah.
that's all. As a gymnast, that's all you at least care about. Is like no one's downgrading your sport. No one's like saying you don't do a hard sport.
Yeah. No, ain't nobody saying that.
No one's saying
Ain't nobody
that.
saying that.
So and that's what we should be paying attention to. No one's saying that your sport ain't hard. It's just it ain't everyone's cup of tea. But that's on us to figure out how to get that out of
and get people to come back to it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Gymnasticsville, Taqiy Abdullah-Simmons, assistant coach, Oklahoma. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And that is a wrap on today's gymnastics session on Gymnasticsville, the voice of acrobatics. I'm Midknight Robin, signing off. See you next time.
When you have a passion for acting, dancing, acrobatics, rather singing, you have the practice for the challenge you're bringing on yourself. Cause believe me, it's hard when your mind gives up, you gotta speak.